These are my 1990 Acura Legends. Developed in 1985, they were the first Japanese luxury car sold in America with the help from the Austin Rover Group, featuring the first V6 engine ever sold by Honda, and actually prompted both Nissan and Toyota to form Infiniti and Lexus. So let's start at the doors. A silly feature, I really like it, is a little motorized arm that pulls the seatbelt back to allow people to get both in the front and back. When you open the door, tucks the seatbelt back. When you close the door, it introduces you to the seatbelt again. On the driver's side of the door here, we have memorized seats featuring fully powered electric seats both on the driver and the passenger. Also featuring powered mirrors with heated mirrors as well. A feature I didn't know I had for a while. Moving to the center console, we have a little storage compartment on top, and below is probably one of the most incredible things I've seen in a pre-2000s car, fuel economy readout. Flipping through the options, we have distance to empty, trip, current fuel economy, and average fuel economy, which I was shocked to see. I know, it's a 1990. The system check button lets you verify your engine oil level, coolant level, washer fluid, next service, and when to change your oil filter. My 2012 WRX doesn't even have this set up. Below that is the automatic climate control. I know, it's a 1990. There's this little cute window that pops up and shows you the controls. The AC works great too. The Bose radio was completely shot when I received the car, so I pulled the speakers and had the amplifiers on each restored. I also tracked down a head unit from a junk Legend to maintain the original stereo from factory. Now on the topic of the radio, it of course comes with the power antenna. Now Acura developed this beautiful foam spoiler that hangs off the back. Now because it bleeds too far off the edge here, when you pop the trunk, they make it so the antenna goes down so you don't hit the antenna. Upon closing the trunk, it comes right back up. Let's not also forget how beautiful this looks on the car. Another rare feature is the roll-down rear windows. Now, granted, there's not a lot of space back here, especially if this guy's relaxing, but at least I have control over my own wind. Being the LS model, I thought I had every single feature they offered. Then I still see these two blank spots. According to the manual, the Canadian model actually had heated seats. Now I have to buy a Canadian model. Underneath the dash here is a switch. Flicking this switch activates the winter wiper setting. It's normally recessed into the hood. So they lift up just a little bit, and now check this out. Once that switch is flicked, on the windshield wipers are these little tabs. As you pull them up, you pull the tab out, and they'll hold the windshield wiper just above the windshield. Isn't that clever? Now let's take it out for a spin. Now the first thing I notice every single time I drive this car is the steering. It is butter smooth. You can steer the steering wheel with one finger, no problem at all. You may think that this would affect handling, but it really doesn't. It's actually very tight. Now as far as power, this comes packed with 160 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. Now, while it might not be a fast car, it certainly is no slouch either. It makes overtaking and merging into traffic a breeze. If I just put my foot down, the car's a steady power that just takes right off. Nice and easy. Which I don't normally do that. The transmission, oof, shifter is smooth. A real luxury feel to it. It actually makes my WRX feel like a Stage 3 clutch. So I'm a really big fan of the exterior styling as well. Obviously, as you would guess, since I've owned two. This boxy, but it catches your eye. I'm astonished by the impeccable condition that this one is in, since the last two that I had rusted out so badly. I used to joke, and I would slap the corner panel, and as rust would rain down, I would yell out, "Weight reduction!" But a lot of people don't appreciate cars from the 90s, I noticed. One woman actually left a note on my car that said, "Donate me, put me out of my misery," which was a bit hurtful. I think the LS actually completes the look a little bit more with that rear spoiler, and the styling is actually very functional. It has a drag coefficient of 0.30, which is the same as a Koenigsegg CCX. Just saying. The build quality is very solid. It's leather wrapped front to back. No rickety sounds, no creaks, and for a 28-year-old car, I find that to be very impressive. Right next to your hand, if you extend out your finger on your right-hand side here, I have my radio volume, I have my preset, and I have my tape direction, just in case you're still listening to tapes. This car actually came with a nice, fine set of tapes. My Frank Sinatra collection is nearly complete. The sunroof controls on the left-hand side, again, same thing. Extend your finger out, you can just open that sunroof right up. Now, on the steering wheel, there are 4 horn buttons, which I don't really see the need for that, but you can tell somebody to get out of your way no matter where your hand is. The one thing this car does not have, though, oddly enough, are cup holders. This car has everything else but cup holders. It does have an ashtray. So Acura assumes you're going to want to smoke, but you're not going to want to have a drink in this car. Lastly, out of the 3 Acura Legends I've owned so far, they've all had similar parts break down at similar times, with this one being the exception. From my red one 10 years ago to my 5-year-ago purchase of the gold one to this gold one, it really does speak to the build quality and the consistency of what they were putting out at the time. Acura had a lot to prove when they brought this car to the States, and proved something they did, in my opinion. I do think it's a phenomenal car, and I hope you do too. Scotty, I think you'll agree with me. I'd like to thank Scotty Kilmer for featuring me on his channel. I'd like to thank Acura for making dependable cars. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.